Hello, receiving students and receiving teachers, and 6Es. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, we have some questions to go through before we touch on our lesson topic for today's lesson. So I'd like us to sit up straight and let's quickly run through these recapping questions, and also it will be a lead up to our next lesson topic. Okay, class, we have our first recap question on the board. What is used to measure temperature? What is used to measure temperature? Okay, let's have Melissa, thank you.
Thermometer.
Okay, very good. Thermometer. Do we all agree, 6Es and receiving students? Okay. A thermometer is used to measure temperature. Next question. Temperature is measured in what unit? Emmanuel.
Degrees Celsius.
Again, loud and clear.
Degrees Celsius.
Okay, temperature is measured in degrees Celsius, that is written on the screen. And as in symbol form, you have your small 0 and letter C. So if you come across this symbol, it represents this unit, degrees Celsius, that is used for reading temperature. Third question, what is our normal body temperature? What is our normal body temperature? Come on, you others. Receiving students, what is our normal body temperature? Samuel.
"37 degrees Celsius."
Very good. Don't forget the unit. 37 degrees Celsius. That is the normal body temperature. If you are not sick, if you are normal, then you have your temperature around that degree Celsius. The next question. What is the room temperature reading from this thermometer? We will now take the reading from this thermometer. So class, I'd like us to look carefully at this thermometer and let's take the reading of our room temperature. So 6Es and receiving students, we are now going to look at this thermometer. Inside this thermometer, there is a red liquid or a mercury. In science, we all know or learned that it is known as an alcohol. So we are going to now take the reading of our room. Now, who would like to give the reading of this thermometer? Okay, I will repeat again. We have 10 or 0, 10, 20, 30, and it's gone beyond another 2 degrees. What is our room temperature, 6Es and receiving students? Remember from our previous lesson, we know that the reading on a thermometer is always 1 scale division or 1 degrees Celsius. So we are counting up by 1. So what would be my temperature reading or the room temperature reading from this thermometer? Okay, we'll have Robert to take the reading from the thermometer. Thank you, Robert. Robert will tell the class now what is the room temperature. Okay, Robert, can you read out the temperature reading from this thermometer?
32 degrees Celsius.
Okay, did we all hear what Robert have just said? Okay, the temperature reading from this thermometer or our room temperature reading is 32 degrees Celsius. That is shown from this thermometer. So as you can see, where the red alcohol is, that is where we're supposed to be taking our reading. So it depends on the type of weather or the type of situation that we are in. If it gets cold, the temperature will decrease. If it's hot, the temperature rises. So here in the room, I think it's getting a bit hotter because of the environment that we are now in. So receiving students and 6s, the room temperature from this thermometer now is 32 degrees Celsius. And this leads us on into our lesson topic for today, which is on reading temperature. You will be using this instrument, or in your exercise, you will be getting readings out from thermometers, but it comes in a diagram form as part of your activity. So we have done one as an example. I'd like us to firstly look at some of the things that will help us continue with our lesson. Okay, class, we have a diagram now on the whiteboard. Who can give us the name of this diagram, or what do we call this type of diagram? Let's just try to complete parts of this diagram. And these are some of the things that we need to consider when we are doing our activity. Remember, our lesson topic now for today is on reading temperature. Okay, let's have Melissa.
Thermometer.
Very good. The name of this diagram here is a thermometer. Class, don't forget, this instrument is used to measure temperature. Looking up on the diagram itself, we have certain numbers that are written on this thermometer. Look very carefully at where the 0 comes in. And it is indicated by this arrow. What can you say about these numbers above 0? What do we call this type of numbers? And we have another set of numbers going down below, or written below where the 0 is. Look at it very carefully, 60s and receiving students. We have 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. And then we have another set of numbers going down. It starts with 0 and a minus sign in front of 10. 60s and receiving students, what do we call this type of numbers here? With a minus sign in front of the number. If you have come across such numbers, what do we call this type of numbers? Owa? Would you like to try? Thank you, Owa. Let's hear from Owa. I'm asking for this set of numbers.
Temperature.
Temperature. Thank you, good try. But what do we call this type of, these numbers do give us the reading on temperature, as in degrees Celsius. Okay, class, we have 0 here. Watch very carefully. The zero number on a thermometer divides the thermometer into two parts. So I'd like you to look at this very carefully. Watching very carefully, we have 0 here. 0 degrees Celsius divides the thermometer. We have these numbers going up in this direction, and we have numbers going down. This number doesn't have any sign in front of it, like what we have in these numbers here. We have a minus sign in front of 10 and a minus sign in front of 20. I can hear some students making a mention of this type of two numbers. Uval, would you like to give us which of these numbers are which? Uval?
The numbers that are going down are negative signs, and the numbers that are going up are positive.
Well done. Let's give him 5 big claps. Okay, he has answered what I am looking for. The numbers that are going down are negative numbers, because this sign here tells us that it is a negative sign. The minus sign in front of 10 tells us that they are negative signs. And the opposite of negative would be positive. You will later learn more on these two types of signs in your next lesson topics. So the numbers that are going upwards are known as positive numbers. So receiving students and 6s, don't forget, these are important things that we need to know from a thermometer. When we are reading thermometer, we should know which ones are negative numbers and which ones are positive numbers. When we are reading negative numbers, it clearly tells us that the temperature is very, very cold. When we are reading upwards as in positive numbers, and if we reach a temperature that is beyond 40 or 60, then it tells us that the temperature is very hot. So don't forget, these are some of the things that we need to consider when we are trying to read temperature from a thermometer. Okay, class, let's now have a look at this diagram that is now on the screen, and also a thermometer. This picture shows a comfortable room. The thermometer shows blank degrees Celsius. Okay, we have 30 degrees up here as it is hot, and we have warm at this temperature degrees. Water freezes at this 0 degrees. When it is very cold, it is when we're going down -10. What would be our temperature reading from this thermometer when the room is comfortable for you to sit inside and you learn? From the thermometer, who would like to give us the temperature reading? Can we have other students? Vanessa, what is the temperature reading from the thermometer? What is the temperature reading from the thermometer? We are now on the learning activity.
20 degrees Celsius.
Okay, very good. The temperature reading from the thermometer on the screen now is 20 degrees Celsius. So when you have a comfortable room, having in mind the temperature should be around 20 degrees, where you feel comfortable in doing your work. So that is the answer to our learning activity that is on the screen. You have few learning activities that you will be doing now in your exercise book as part of your activity or practice. Okay, you have the second exercise there. This picture shows what type of a day? Is it a hot day or a cold day or a warm day? The picture will tell you the type of day, and I'd like you to get me the temperature reading off from the thermometer. So I will give you 2 minutes to at least write the answer down. Sit up straight if you have finished, and we'll move on to the next set of exercise. Okay, we'll move on to the next exercise. You have 3 thermometers there. I'd like you to write down just the answers to those thermometer exercises. Don't forget to write your units. I will give you 3 minutes to at least complete these 3 exercises. 1 minute for each. You can discuss with your friends. I can hear students talking. This indicates to me that you have finished. Receiving students, you should be now completing your next set of exercises. Okay, I think our time is up for the exercises to be completed. If you haven't completed these exercises, I'd like you to complete that for homework. Don't forget, I'll be checking on those set of exercises. So to the receiving teacher, I'd like you to allow time for the students to complete these 2 sets of exercises. And do make sure to collect their books to check through their exercises or the answers to those exercises. And in our next lesson, we will correct the answers to those exercises. So 6Cs and receiving students, don't forget to complete those exercises. Okay, I'd like us to at least correct one of those exercises. Okay, this exercise that is on the screen now, what would be the type of day? The picture shows what type of day? 6Cs and receiving students. Robert.
Hot day.
Robert, why do you say it is a hot day? What is the thing that is telling you that it is a hot day?
Because the temperature is 32 degrees Celsius.
Because the temperature is 32 degrees Celsius, is it really 32 degrees Celsius? Let's have Elipoli. I agree with you, it is a hot day. The picture shows that it is a hot day. What is our temperature reading?
33 degrees Celsius.
33 degrees Celsius. I'm still looking for another answer. Very close, 33. Emmanuel, what is your answer?
$34 degrees Celsius.
Okay, very good. Let's have the last one. We are getting there. Let's have Brett.
It is 35 degrees Celsius.
Okay, it is 35 degrees Celsius. That is the answer that I am looking for. So 6Cs and receiving students, your set of exercise, the second activity exercise. The picture shows that it is a hot day. If you have your answer is hot, mark it correct. And your temperature reading should be 35 degrees Celsius. Okay, the other set of exercise, I'd like you to complete that for homework, and I will collect your books to check them. And we will make correction to those in our next lesson. We will now move on to our summary point for today. Your summary point for today is now on the board. There are 2 summary points. Quickly copy that into your exercise book. Okay, let's move on to our key phrase for today. Class, I'd like us to read that aloud together. Okay, reading temperature from a thermometer. To the receiving teacher, our next lesson topic is on time. Materials that you would be preparing for the next lesson are on the PowerPoint: time fact figures cut out, activity chart or sheet, units of time chart, markers and rulers. And this is what you should be preparing for your students. The activity sheet that they need to complete as part of the activity exercise. And also the figures that they need to choose from. To complete this table. So these are the materials that you need. So make sure that these ones here are prepared as many as you can so that you can cut them out and distribute to students. Make sure it's in a set for each of the groups to work on. So it will be a group activity. So to help the students, we prepare this one for them so they can complete this table. So receiving students, hope you have taken note of the materials that you would need for your next lesson. With that, 6Es and receiving students, we have come to the end of our lesson. Thank you very much for your participation.
You're welcome.